And ready, set, 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing, testing. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. It's me again. It's me again, Margaret. Just me doing my thing. Testing, 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 testing. 1, 2. I have no idea if this is responding. It's cool, but I don't know if it's really responding to my voice or to the music. I think it's responding to the music. Okay, let me switch this over so you can see what I'm talking about. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's so sparkly! Yay! Yes, I know. I did not Twitter this announcement early enough for some people. It's been a busy day. I just been doing some writing, trying to do some writing. And, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to say, because I'm sitting here like a dummy. I just watch the pretty lights and not do anything. I really need to get, I know that this is really depressing me, thinking of myself as a shut-in. I'm trying not to think of myself as a shut-in. I refuse to think of myself as a complete shut-in. It's just, I'm not shut in. It's just that it's just a lot more of an effort to haul me out the front door, But boom diddy boom diddy boom diddy boom diddy boom diddy boom diddy boom. Love this music. It's nice. I like it. It's not really been enough time for anything interesting news-wise or society-wise or culture-wise to have cropped up lately. So it's only been 24 hours. And how do these Good Morning America? How do they do that? How do they have something new to talk about every morning? Well, it's easy to have an entire staff of interns who go out and look stuff up. That's what it is. Testing, 1, 2. Well, could be worse. Could be, I don't know. That's nice. We have an audience of one. Okay, let's see here. Boost up Manga Studio. Oh, anime to recommend. Anime to recommend. I stumbled across My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia. It's spelled like it sounds. I love it. I've watched about 5 or 6 episodes. The idea, let me turn that down a little bit. That's loud. It's kind of loud. Okay, like I was saying, I stumbled across it some time ago. Watched about 5 or 6 episodes. I love it, and I'm waiting for them to come out with more episodes. Basic idea is that it's set in a world where superheroes and superpowers, at least, are very, very common. At least 80% of the population has at least some sort of superpower, which they call quirks. They're not all really useful stuff. They're like Uri Geller spoon bending kind of stuff. But a handful of them are, actually powerful enough to be superheroes. And so superheroing has become the new big career path of choice. The protagonist of the story is a young boy who has, dreamed of being a superhero his whole life. And his favorite hero is All Might Guy. I'm not sure if I've got the name right. I think I'm forgetting it. All Might Guy. And All Might Guy is this big, huge, muscular, blonde Superman type. And, this kid admires the hell out of him. He wants to be a hero like that. But he finds out that, he has no quirk. He has never developed a superpower. But his dream is still to go to Superhero Academy. Hero Academia. And through a series of circumstances, he meets All Might Guy. And it's revealed that All Might Guy is on the ropes. It seems that All Might Guy had been in a terrible battle, a couple of years before, and had been badly injured. They had patched him up, but he had lost. He'd lost a lung. He'd lost a couple of internal organs. He can fake still be, he can still be strong. He can still bulk up and go out and superhero, but only for a couple of hours a day. And the rest of the time he has to spend as a skinny, scrawny weakling. And so he's been looking for a replacement. It turns out that his power was passed down to him from another super. It's the only transferable superhero power in the world. And each generation that it's passed down to makes the next recipient that much stronger. And this kid, despite having no powers, performs an act of heroism that impresses All Might Guy so much that he takes this boy as his apprentice and passes the power on to him. The thing of it is that his body has not adjusted to the superpower yet. The boy had to spend 3 months of intense physical training just to accept the power, because otherwise it would have torn his body apart. And as it is, currently, he still has to struggle to control it. If he uses the power, he can get one punch in, but it shatters his bones. And he has to be healed up. And so he's still struggling with the power, at least at the point of the episodes I've seen. And he gets into, he passes the written exams easily, because he spent his entire life studying superheroes and even doing, just private study of his own. And the last episode, he just barely gets in because on the practical exam, he and the other candidates were sent into an artificial city and made to battle giant mechas, and scored on how many they defeated. And the one time he used his power was when the largest super mecha shows up, and he has to use his power to save a girl who is about to be another classmate who is about to be crushed. He destroys the thing with button punch, but but his super leap and super punch shatter the bones in his legs and in his arm. He literally lands, his arm and his legs are flopping around like empty water balloon, like water balloons. He's that badly messed up. So the story follows this kid's effort to become the greatest superhero ever. And I really like it, and I really like the show, because I've got to say, it is a reconstruction of the superhero genre. For years now, everybody, Marvel, DC, and all these other, they've lost the idea what it was, what superhero stories are all about the optimism and the heroic battle of good versus evil, and they've forgotten that. Instead, they've wallowed in this deconstructive phase for decades, where it sucks to be a superhero or to have superpowers, and you're persecuted, and woe is me, and let's all sit around and do the mutant angst navel gazing, or they do episodes where basically you look at your average comic book on the shelves now, just assume that it's being written by somebody who hates comic books and superheroes and comic book fans. Garth Ennis comes to mind. But anyway, this anime recaptures, that whole optimism, the optimism and the desire to be a hero, the desire to do good things and great things, with the powers that they're given. The idea is, as one comic strip one comic page I saw described this: people who did good things simply because they could. I thought that is such a good description of what superheroes are supposed to be about. They did people who do the right thing simply because they can. And My Hero Academia really recaptures it. You really get behind this character, this protagonist, and the kid literally just takes the pounding and is so devoted to the heroic ideal that he drags himself into battle, even with broken bones in his body. You can't help loving the kid. And I gotta say, as soon as I can, I'm gonna grab every episode I can find online. Uh, it's not very often you find especially animes that doesn't suck sour cream. What I mean by that is these grim, dark, and depressing, and angsty, and supposed. That makes them. The ongoing conclusion being depressing and morbid makes you deep and profound. You know, you'd think that pop culture would grow up past the angsty, mascara wearing goth teenage phase, okay? It gets old. And My Hero Academia is a real breath of fresh air. I highly recommend it. There's nobody in the channel. There's nobody watching because nobody knows I'm on. It's live. Wah! But I gotta go tinkle. I'll be right back. Enjoy the animated screensaver. Hello, 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 hello. I'm back. I'm back, but I don't think anybody else is. There's some milk and cookies. Hello, Adrian Halls. Welcome. Welcome aboard. That's the highest resolution I can get out of Minicam. So, and it's not working right. It's still not working right. Oh, well. Eat my Oreo cookies. Now with Oreo cookies, it's almost got a ritualistic attribute to an Oreo cookie. First of all, you know I go to, but first of all, it has to be a real Oreo cookie. It can't be no sandwich cookie, and it can't be none of that Hydrox. Now there's an unfortunate named product. I mean Hydrox. Hydrox cookies. They are the Oreo cookie that was the Oreo cookie before the Oreo cookie existed. But they sound like an ointment you put on a rash. So that cannot have helped their sales. So you got the Oreo cookie. It's got to be a genuine Oreo cookie. You open it up, you twist them, and you lick off the cream in the middle. And you're supposed to put the cookie back together, dunk it in the milk, and eat the cookie. That's supposed to be how you eat an Oreo cookie properly. And I don't do that. Not much, anyway. I prefer to take the whole cookie, cream and all, dunk it, just until it starts getting soft, then eat it. That's just me. Love Oreo cookies. You just can't eat an Oreo cookie without milk. It's the one cookie that you can get by, it's like any other cookie. You just, take some like Fig Newtons, arm. You don't really need milk. Well, it's better with milk with any cookie, but an Oreo without the milk, it's just not happening. Oreos are the one thing cookies and juice that they used to do with like daycare centers and kindergarten. No, it's got to be cookies and milk. Well, thanks to donations, I am currently either, well, it depends on how you count. Thanks to donations and pledges, I am currently either, depends on how you count, whether I am halfway to the amount to keep them from shutting off my power, and a little less than a third of the way towards paying off the bill entirely. So, progress. How'd you like to look out your window and see that sunrise? You look out the window of your bungalow and see that coming up over the horizon, it's be like, screw the mortgage payment, honey. You heard me. Yeah, I flipped off the IRS guy. So let's see if they can find us before the solar flare does. And the weather forecast for today is 100%. We're hosed! Okay. Okay, I got a commission for 5 new nip and tuck strips, so think this over. I know, triggery puff. What does it tell you when I'm surrounded by human cartoons? I can't parody them, I can't caricature them. I would make them look more normal. I mean, really. You know, I feel kind of sad for that girl, because at some point she's going to look back, she's going to see that video all over the internet, and she's going to, what is my life, you know? Excuse me. Western civilization has lost all self-awareness. Or rather, let's be fair though. We're all sitting here talking about this. So this woman cannot possibly represent the majority of our society. She cannot possibly. Just by the laws of physics. She might represent a majority by sheer mass, but No. If there was some way to shut down all the universities in this country that are producing people like this, I'd say go for it. Personally, there's the easiest possible way to do it. Shut off the tap. Turn off, no grants, no loans, no government financing, nothing. No educational thises or that's. Just turn it off. The schools that actually provide a quality education will be the only ones that keep their heads above water. The ones that produce nothing but, land whales with a sense of entitlement will go under. What can you say? I mean, yeah, change it. You know how likely a petition is to get anything changed? Zero. That's your percentage. Zero. If you want, the straightforward thing is, if you want something to stop, you have to stop feeding it. And as long as our country goes, speaking out of both sides of its mouth, out in the mainstream, the people are saying this is crap, this is nonsense, this is garbage, this is a useless education, and meanwhile, we're turning around and letting our government pour millions of dollars into these useless academies. They're nothing but useless idiot factories. Useful idiot factories, rather. That's what the communists referred to. That's how they referred to the hippie movement. Useful idiots. Because they knew that they were cutting off their own nose, just destroying themselves. I need more pictures in my video feed here. I'm tempted to put in, just random desktops and stuff, but that's not my work. Oh well, I don't know. Let's see. I'm looking for stuff here. Checking a few of my mailboxes and stuff at the moment. Hey, Jonathan Kruger. Yes, you were wondering what? What were you wondering? Talk to me. Tell me. Say that you love me. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. No, I guess it's not responding to my voice. It's just to the music. But that's cool. Probably works better when it's responding to the music than to my voice. I would like to chat in the window and keep this video running, but I can't because, this has a setting on it that it's supposed to let me put the camera on one window and type in another, but it won't let me. I updated my minicam, but it's still not doing that, and I don't know why not. I'm sitting here staring at the lights. Ooh, pretty. Erpa derpa. Were you Kruger saying you were wondering something? What were you wondering about, Kruger? Just what would make sure that they were enacted, or what stopped them from being ignored? Nothing. Listen, your average congressman probably keeps his fireplace going by stuffing it full of letters of complaint from his constituents. They have interns with shredders going 24 hours a day, just throwing away all the letters of complaint from those stupid, ignorant, crazy, wild-eyed lunatics they call their constituents. So politicians claim to listen to the people because it's to their advantage to present that quote-unquote united front. I'm not saying anything that simple human bitterness and observation hasn't told you already. This is the age we live in. We've reached a point where we don't believe the government listens to us. We can't. There was a day when the American people could walk right into the White House and speak to the president. That was hundreds of years ago now. Nowadays, you could walk up to your congressman and talk to him. Nowadays, you are lucky if your congressman leaves. You are lucky if your congressman leaves Washington, D.C. to visit his home state for a couple of days a year, if ever. Let me switch you over so you can see what I'm doing here. You know, okay. Let's talk about these. Let's talk about one of these social justice movements. The healthy at any size people. The fat acceptance crowd. Okay. It's a bad state of delusion, okay, to be a land whale and think you're healthy. Okay, I mean, if you're a ham beast, come on. And look, you're talking to a guy, you're listening to a guy who is way over 400 pounds. I am not a healthy man. Of course, a lot of those 400 pounds, I figure I have no idea how many pounds that is just water retention in my legs, literally. But I am a very unhealthy man. And part of that is my obesity. And if I do not devote the time it takes to trim myself down to a healthy size, or even a moderately healthy one, that's my fault. And blaming anybody else for it, and worse, trying to pretend that it's not as bad as it is, that's again my fault. That's a terrible mistake. It's wrong. It's self-deception. It's lying to yourself. And trying to get everybody else to lie to you. Oh, no, you look good in that dress. Oh, come on. But, at the same time we've got these people, these fat acceptance people running around. What gave rise to them? What gave rise to them? We also have an epidemic of anorexia in the society, and bulimia, and other eating disorders. We have young women in their teens and 20s, their bodies just in the middle of developing, just growing, and they will stop eating. There's an old song from the movie Clueless, goes, "I want to be a supermodel," and the final two lines are, I didn't eat today, I didn't eat yesterday, and I'm not going to eat tomorrow, because I want to be a supermodel. And there are young girls doing that. They're out there. There's perfectly healthy, beautiful young ladies that are living on bean sprouts and shit. Or like a Ritz cracker a day, or a glass of water a day. And doing horrible things to themselves, trying to look like these women who are, these women that are held up as the most beautiful women in the world. They are, they are way out on past the end of the bell curve. Even a normally healthy woman is not going to look like that on normal. It's just not going to happen. The average fashion model, there are exceptions to the rule. I mean, we're not talking about some of these, we're not just talking healthy people in general. We're talking about like these actresses. We're talking fashion models. The average fashion model, the average female fashion model is over 6 feet tall. That's no lie. If they were men, they would be basketball stars. And they'd be hanging out with like Shaq. And and they're ridiculously tall, and they are seriously underweight too because they're starving themselves to keep their jobs. So these women are not only trying to be underweight, they're trying to be over tall. it's crazy. And this is what our society pushes on young women. And I hate to be the one to break it to you. That one video. It's all about that bass, no treble. It's all about that bass, no. Just think of that what you will. The girl who is singing what's her name? You look at her. She is not a size 1. She is a very pretty girl, and she is a healthy size, but. Hollywood would have her trying to be 20 pounds underweight at least. I'm talking about these women who are in fashion. There's one name. What was it? Brooke Shields. Was it Brooke Shields who had a short sitcom? Let me see. Brooke Shields sitcom. Yeah, Brooke Shields. You remember Brooke Shields? She was a supermodel. She was, back in the 80s, she was the hot girl. Well, it lasted about 4 years. I take it back. I thought it was shorter lived than that. But Brooke Shields, they had her stand. She had, there was one point where she was recruited to be on a girls' basketball team, a women's basketball team, and she stood up and and they asked her, "Let me, stand up. Let me see how tall you are." And she stands up and she holds her arms out, and the guy standing behind her is, "My lord, it's like seeing an albatross take flight." I mean, crazy long arms. She could probably palm a basketball. But that's the standard that fashion, that's the standard that the fashion industry establishes, for beauty. One that is beyond the end of the curve. They push women that have no tits, no body fat, who are like 7 feet tall. And gee, we can't figure out why. And at the same time, we've got all these magazines say, lose weight, lose 5 pounds, lose 10 pounds, lose 20 pounds. Here's this diet, here's that diet. And on the next page, anorexia at an all-time high. I wonder what the connection is. I wonder what could possibly be the connection. And let's be fair, we do the same thing to young men. It's just not as obvious that we're doing it to young men. What most people don't know, these actors with the ripped abs, these weightlifters and bodybuilders and such, they're not healthy. When you see those guys standing up on those bodybuilding contests, that is probably the weakest and most unhealthy they are in their lives right at that point, because they will have dehydrated themselves to make themselves look more chiseled. This is true. They will use laxatives and suppositories to just to dehydrate themselves so the muscles in their body stand out more against their dried out skin. And also that bodybuilder build is not strong. It's not strong at all. You see, because their core body strength is a joke. They have this skinny, narrow little waist and great big broad shoulders, which means that their core body strength, the muscles from their groin all the way up to their collarbone, are weak. An actual strong man is shaped more like a barrel. but that doesn't sell. That doesn't sell real well. And we got these young, Hugh Jackman when he's doing Wolverine, all those shirtless scenes with those ripped abs, right before he jumps on in front of the camera and they shout action, he is back behind the stage, exercising, doing push-ups and sit-ups. Why? To get the blood pumping to his muscles, and for a brief while after you do that, your muscles are pumped literally and swole. He right before he jumps in front of the camera, so that his muscles look that much more ripped. And young men are growing up with the idea that's how you're supposed to look. So yeah, we've got insanity at both ends of the scale. We got people out there who are trying to pretend that being obese is not harmful to your health, and trying to convince people that it's beautiful. It's not. And at the other, at one end, they're trying to convince people to starve themselves to death. What the hell? This is what happens when a society puts so much emphasis, one way or the other, on your appearances. And one way or the other, they are judging your moral purity by your physical appearance. Think about it. You go out, if you're a fat person, you go out and they judge you automatically. Whether it's true or not, they look at you and they see a fat guy and they say, "Oh, this guy's a disgusting pig. He probably sits there and eats a whole roast boar at every meal." Oh, look at that fatty over there in the goth outfit. I bet she cuts herself another slice of cake. And you are judged as morally inferior because you're fat. At the same time, at the other end of the scale, let's be fair. A lot of people, while a lot of people approve, oh, he's so good looking. There's a lot of people out there. Look at a guy who's cut and say douchebag. Even the alligator on his shirt is going asshole. But yeah, look, I am terribly overweight. I am terribly unhealthy, and so I desperately need to lose weight. But circumstances being what they are, we live in a society where it costs more money to lose weight. It does. It requires an investment of time and money and attention that, really, I'm not really interested in investing. Also comes down to this: carbs are cheap. For the price of a lean piece of red meat, or a couple of lean chicken, you can fill up a grocery cart with pasta. Yeah, that's the irony of it. They came up with this theory a while back that says that everybody has willpower, but the problem is that they only have so much to go around. And you do see that. You do see that in how you behave yourself and how other people behave. The general idea is, oh, I was diligent and did my homework. I need to reward myself, and so they go out and they skip their diet, or the other way around. Yeah. I've gone, in the past over the years, I went on diets a couple of times. I actually lost a little weight while I was on them. Did a little exercise, did a little walking. This was like about 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago. My metabolism is all shot to hell by now, and it's just I would not get the same results today as I did back then. Never got down to the ideal weight, but I did see results. But there would reach a point where I was, just stressed to the wall. Uh, you know, work would suck, or when I would have a lot of stress, and I would be running on 0 calories. And when lunch finally came around, it's like, screw it, I'm getting that pizza. We can talk about this all day, but it comes down to this: is that we put the wrong emphasis on the wrong things. Here's an old one. I mean, this is like from the old Mickey Mouse Club. Pretty is as pretty does. If we put more emphasis on being good people, kind, generous, peaceful, forgiving, as Christians, if we put Jesus first and others before ourselves, if we would exercise peacefulness and patience, kindness, meekness, temperance, gentleness, faith, it wouldn't matter. We would care a lot less about what we look like on the outside. I remember the old Roald Dahl, the guy who wrote the Chocolate Factory, Charlie, Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, and he wrote all these other children's stories. He even illustrated them himself. He said in one of his books he wrote, if you are beautiful inside, it doesn't matter if you have a lumpy nose and broken teeth, and crooked teeth, and a wart on your face and everything else. How beautiful you are will just shine out through, and you will be prettier than anybody else. But if you're ugly inside, it doesn't matter how pretty you are. If you're ugly inside, it doesn't matter how pretty you are. You will look ugly. And that is surprisingly true. I remember seeing photographs taken during the when they were still. Where was it they were doing the first integration of black children into a white school? They had photographs of white people, of these people protesting the desegregation, and they were being held back by police tape and everything. And these beautiful young women back at that time, in nice dresses and their hair all made up and everything. Just the ugliness of the hate in their face. It was breathtaking. Just rage and hate in their face. Of course, I'll say this much about school desegregation and all that. It never should have been an issue in the first place. I've talked about that issue before. Desegregation of the public schools it kind of ignores the fact that there never should have been a government-run school system in the first place. Wouldn't have been a problem if the government hadn't started sticking its finger in the pie. Look, the government, and as to the, I've talked about this before, the civil rights movement of the 60s, it accomplished many good things, but it broke a lot of others. It was one thing when they were demanding the right, demanding that their right to vote be protected. That absolutely has to be done. It was another thing when they were demanding. It was one thing when they were demanding that they have equal access to all the facilities of the United States government. That they be treated equally and fairly in the court of law. That they be treated equally and fairly by the government systems, that they be allowed to vote. But when they started turning their attention on privately owned businesses and institutions, that's when they sacrificed a moral cause on the altar of pretension and appearance. Yes, it sucked that there were people that ran businesses that said whites only. Everybody talks about the sandwich counters as if they were the only businesses in the South. But they were privately owned businesses, and it should be, and we each of us have an inalienable, God-given right to freedom of association. That means we get to choose who we associate with, who we live with, who we buy, sell, and trade with, and who we do not. And it is not anybody's damn business, especially not the government's business, who we decide to trade with and interact with, and who we decide not to interact with, regardless of the reason. You do not and should not have to prove that you have a valid reason for exercising a right. That's the definition of a right. Something you don't have. It's none of their damn business why you want a gun, or why you want to have free speech, or why you want to write a book, or type an entry on a blog, or make a newspaper, or anything else. It's none of their damn business what you want to do with your own private property either. And it's none of the government, and it should be nobody's business but your own. Who you do business with and why or why not. But you're saying that racists should be allowed to throw people out of it? Yeah. I think that racists should be allowed. If the racist owns a store, he should be allowed to say, "I don't serve no black people. I don't serve no Chinese people. I don't serve no gay people." And it should be the right of the black, gay, and Chinese people. Black, gay, Chinese, paints an interesting picture. But it should be the right of everybody else to say, "We don't want to do business with you." To him. And here's how it works. If this guy decides, I'm going to be a racist and not allow any black people in my store, guess what? No black people will spend money in his store. And white people who don't like his principles won't spend money in his store either. If he wants to cut off his nose to spite his face, that's his business. And in fact, it means that he and the few people that agree with him will be off in one place minding their own business and not bothering the rest of us. Because those are the only people who do business with him. Meanwhile, the rest of us who like making money more than we like being a bigot, will have a store that says "open to all," and we'll take all his business. The marvelous equilibrium of the open market. But they came in, the civil rights movement started, and they started arm twisting private businesses. They coerced private businesses into doing business with people they wanted nothing to do with. And that was the end of it. And now we have reached a point. What's in the news? There are homosexuals sicking the government on Christian people, forcing them to do business with gay people. They sued a couple of different privately owned bakeries into oblivion for not wanting to make a gay wedding cake. They wanted to make equality. It didn't make equality. What they did is they made the government a weapon in the hands of control freaks and bigots. Because now, Muslims, homosexuals, whoever, just name any kind of pervert, freak, or violent, troublemaker that you can think of. It's become they've made the government into a weapon to be used against people that they don't like. They can come in now and hold a gun to your head and say, "You better bake us a cake, bitch, or else." That's not freedom, and that is not equality. That is not liberty. That is not what our parents and grandparents and ancestors sacrificed for. They use it as a weapon. They use it as a weapon to have preachers thrown in prison for calling certain lifestyles a sin. They're using it to drive innocent, law-abiding, tax-paying, God-fearing American citizens into bankruptcy and poverty to punish them for disagreeing with their enlightened lifestyle. Yet if a Christian tried to press a suit when he was discriminated against, it wouldn't even make it into the courts. We've got stories of women who worked at. There was one woman who worked as a receptionist at some company, and they fired her for creating an intimidating work environment. What did she do? She routinely told the customers, have a blessed day or God bless. And that created a hostile work environment with microaggressions and their tantrum throwing. The term that some people have used is cry bullies. They scream, "I'm a victim!" Well, they pick up the nearest public opinion piece, and use it and the screwed up courts as a bludgeon against anybody who disagrees with them. We made that possible when we first accept the premise that we could use the government to punish or silence those whose opinions we disagreed with. And that includes all the ones that even you or I find unsavory. The price of free speech is that everybody has to have it. The price of freedom is that everybody has to have it. Nobody does. Nobody is ever really willing to accept. It's human nature. I should be free, but those horrible people over there shouldn't. Larry Flint, skis bag of all time, did get one thing right. He said freedom of, the First Amendment isn't there to protect speech that you like. Here's an idea for you. We're never going to get these. We're never going to get the. We're going to get people off the government tit, right? We're certainly not going to get higher education institutions off the government tit. They would fight you tooth and nail. So here's a proposal for a whole new system. Instead of these colleges going to the government and applying for all these, grants and loans and funding and all this other stuff, the government gives them the government gives each college a blank, an overarching promise. The government will match penny for penny the funding that any university receives from private donors and its alma maters. If their art department gets like $1 million from $1 million from from their alma mater and their and the private independent donors, then the government grants and loan system, the government educational system gives them a matching fund, a matching check, penny for penny. If their women's studies gets $1 million from in donations from its private individuals, then the government will give that part of the college a matching grant. But if a department doesn't get diddly squat from private donors or institutions or organizations or anything else, if they can't raise diddly squat for like the hockey team, guess how much they get from the government? Zip. Just an idea to reintroduce the idea of accountability to higher education, that they actually have to do a good job enough to impress their alumni. In order to get any extra money from the government. What do you think of that idea? It's not going to get them completely off the government tit, but it will force, it will tie what they receive to merit. I mean, if they can't get their alumni to donate to their school, then the government isn't going to donate to them either. And the donations have to be line by line. There's not one big, sweeping whole school donation that they can spend however they like. It has to be department by department. They'll figure out ways to shuffle it around, but it at least would slow down their extravagance. And they would actually focus on the departments that were of merit. What you didn't catch? Here's an idea. I'll repeat myself. The idea is this. Half the problem with governments, half the problem with higher education, colleges and the like, is that they are getting huge wads of money for which they do not have to be accountable from the government. Whether you're talking grants or loans or directly to the university. This is the idea. Instead of just giving them money straight, what we'll do is that, it'll be dollar for dollar. They will receive dollar for dollar money from the government to match what they managed to raise from their alumni, from their graduates, and from private institutions. So they'll still be getting government funding, but it will be actually tied to whether or not what they're doing has actual approval from real human beings. Rather than having them suck up to some bureaucrat in a government office, they actually have to get the approval of people, like I said, like the alumni, who have to actually think, this project is, what they want this money for is a good idea. So if the alumni and private organizations and corporations or whatever give them $1 million to spend on their sports program, they can get a grant from the government for the same amount, a matching amount. If they get $1 million in donations for their science programs, same story. But department, if they get diddly squat in donations for, say, the Social Justice Warriors Women's Studies, then guess how much money they're going to be getting from the government for that department? Nope, nothing. You would, the system would not be perfect because they would always find workarounds. They would find some way to move money from, say, the archaeology department to the astrology in the 21st century class, because people are jerks. But that would at least curtail the worst wasteful extravagances and wastes of time that universities engage in on the public dollar. And it would certainly encourage them to kick to the curb stuff that pissed off the public in general and the alumni in particular. Just an idea. Because I recognize that we're never going to convince people to get completely off the government tip. They're always going to cling to one little benefit or another little benefit, or this over here, that over there. They'll keep on hanging on to it. see here. Forgot to put it on a second layer. Just a second there. Interesting note, feminists, these militarists that you see on, it's scary how many different attributes they seem to have in common, and not just the ideology, the physiognomy, and the behavior. For one, they all have hair dyed unholy, unnatural colors. Now, in nature, this would be a warning sign, Danger, poisonous snake. They always, okay, what you see, toucan colored, as I call it, toucan colored hair, bird of paradise, blah! Nose or lip piercing, ugly, thick-rimmed glasses, whether they need them or not. Pardon. And this is interesting. As somebody else noticed this, they all have the fish mouth. Yeah, let me see if I can find any. Feminist fish mouth syndrome. Let's look at the images here. It's the fish mouth. Look, where they got the upper lip. They curl their upper lip until you can see all their front upper teeth. Here you go. Let me zoom in on there. See? Fish mouth. Now we go over to this woman here. Look here. There you go. Fish mouth. Fish mouth. See? I mean, right there. Yeah. And check out this guy. Feminist cuckold. Fish mouth. Yeah. It's what you have to call a bit unusual. Weird, isn't it? You just wonder what to make of it, you know? It says something, you know. This says something. I want to use. I want to have. I would like to have Estelle use the terms that feminists use, for authenticity's sake. I want her to use the same language and the same words, but I can't because they're too nasty. They're vulgar. I can't have her call someone a shitboard. That's how these she beasts refer to men. It doesn't have quite the same, cisgendered scum does not have the same bite. You know what I'm saying?
big pond, the fish are the only difference. City out of harmony, lingering on the dissonance. Fishermen wrapping up citizens with their fishing nets. Sometimes chemical, some played old imprisonment. Dissidents laughing at themselves as if they had a voice, acting like technology really gives them a better choice. Protect the borders as we stack up our elitism. Defeatism is what we pretend that we keep believing in. I'm straddling both lines, the quietest revolt. Politicians fake like they caring that we vote. Legalese verbose, specific plain English, then that's ADD riddle and riddle. Children might get it, and if they do, then you're fucked. When they know what's up, you might start seeing public servants dressed as little punks. No tie, no suit, they just looking for some truth. Campaign funds came from hacked ATM booths.
Let's see. Sorry, I fell silent again. Fell quiet. Sorry about that. I do that a lot. At least when I start working steadily on the drawing. Sizz scum doesn't exact. It's a little harder to say. Sizz scum doesn't quite roll off the tongue, you know. Like shit, lord. You know, so I won't use it in the comic. I'll just say it on the show. Oh, that's much better. Thank you. Listen, I agree with Leslie. Feminism was created to give ugly women access to the mainstream. I say you've seen this strip before. This particular strip. I wish I was making that up. I wish I was making that up. There is a young woman out there who has posted a picture of herself on the internet holding a sign that says "My vagina has a voice." If it speaks, it's probably saying things like "Please kill me." Yeah, it's sort of a rule. Her hair has to be this shade of maroon. Sorry if I'm not very talkative tonight. Sort of in the groove for once. This joke isn't very original. I'll say that much. It really isn't. It's actually a variation of a gag I saw in a really old Garfield comic strip. But there really wasn't any other way that I thought I could think of that would be funny for introducing Trigglypuff to the strip. Just sort of left me cold. I couldn't think of anything. Is this kind of thing that makes me wonder if I really got any original talent? Or am I just a cheap knockoff of everybody else? Closing in on 1,000 strips. That's not very much for a strip that's been running on and off for 10 years, you know. But 1,000 strips. I'm up to 973. Well, 974 with this one. Let's see. I believe I have a bird's nest right outside my window because I can hear the birds cheeping right outside. Okay. And so 1 down, 4 to go. Edit, undo. Forgot to add a word balloon tail to that one. Save it. Okay. Ouch. Okay, and now we update. I hurt. Pain in my legs. Alright, let's see here. Upload files. Let's see, 974. Open. And publish. Okay, I will be right back. And I return. I like this. I think that this particular screensaver is called Spiderweb, I think. I like it. It's very internet-y. That's a word. I invented it. I claim it. Copyright, patented. Pay me money if you use it. Ugh. Okay, and the new nip and tuck is updated. Good. CIZCUM. That doesn't look right. That, yeah, I won't even say what that looked like. So, don't judge me by, well, you shouldn't judge people by their appearance on a general principle. The problem is that after a certain point, their appearance reflects the kind of person they are. You know, whether they're neat or slovenly, or they're an athlete and they exercise a lot and they take care of themselves, or they don't take care of themselves with it. You know, it's the old don't judge a book by a cover. Don't judge a book by its cover. Now, you see anybody walk into a bookstore that doesn't do that. This is why they have book cover artists, because people do just that. The book cover isn't the beginning, and the cover ain't the beginning and the end of the story, but it does give you an indication of what's inside. And you'd be stupid to ignore it. You don't go over to the cheap, trashy novel section, pick one that's got like dismembered limbs on the cover, and go, "Oh, this must be a love story." No. Hey, Archangel, yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I actually managed to get 3 punchlines out of that one joke. That's a favorite. I've got two. I've got like 1 or 2 comics that are like my absolute favorites, because at some point I managed to actually get. It's always a work of art when you get multiple punchlines out of a single joke, right? Let's see here. Of course, the one where he's ripping her on, when he's riffing on 3 punchlines. I feel so proud of that. I couldn't make up my mind which was funnier. Of course, let's see here. slow. Let's see. Strips. Camp Calamine. I have no idea if I can find that strip. Hang on, yeah. Let's see here. Let's see if I can find the strip in my files. That's the thing of it. This program does not work with GIF. That's proven to be kind of a problem. Not exactly there's always going to be little problems and quirks. Here we go. Right around strip 100, where their 4th of July celebration had gotten superseded for a multicultural celebration, and so Counselor Charles' band of little heathens got together and decided to sabotage it. You got to, I don't see if you can. I don't know if you can see it or not. Here, let's see here. It says, "Okay, Carl." Let me zoom in on it. Let me zoom in on it for you. It's like, "Okay, Carlos, why don't you tell us about life in Mexico?" He said, "Lady, I told you I'm not Mexican. I'm Cuban." It's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. And where do Cubans come from?" "Florida." So not all of them, of course. No, just the ones that can swim. She goes, is there anything from your family has from Cuba that you think is special? You say, yeah, a rubber raft and a pair of freaking oars. Okay, thank you, Carlos. And no further. I sat up all night thinking that one up. I swear I did. When I can get a 3 for 3, that's a rare moment of pride. What can I say? Do you have any questions? Anything you'd like to talk about? Anything you'd like to ask about? Let's see. Okay, that's already done. Okay, file recent. Old Vic. I'm tired of talking about them. I'm tired of thinking about them. I can understand why people get tired of talking of politics and about religion and politics and social issues and things like that. You get tired of talking about anything, but just talking about them, some after a certain point, but just becomes it grind. It's just rubbing it in. It's just grinding the fact that these horrible people are running amok and making the world a terrible place, and that it's a never-ending battle and a losing one to try and stop them. And it doesn't seem to be much hope. There doesn't seem to be many options. You can't win, you can't break even, and you can't leave the game. You know, there was a time when if society started going, completely off the rails, if you were able-bodied, you could escape it. You could hop a ship, sail 1,000 miles, get off, and get away from it. But all the continents have been, unless you're willing to live in a jungle, in some third world country, there's no place left to go. There's no place left to escape. There's no place left to hide. And if you tried to pull a Mayflower, gather up a bunch of people, hop in a boat, go find an island someplace, or some forgotten corner of the Amazon jungle or something, set up a colony, within a handful of years, the government would be after you. They wouldn't even take that long. They'd notice your tax return didn't come in that year, and they would have IRS agents out in a rowboat coming after you. Nothing drives our enemy to more bilious, molten fury than the idea that somebody has slipped out of their grasp and is no longer under their control. They did a study once to test on altruism and human behavior, and basically they were given an option where I think I forget exactly how it went, but one of the options they were given like $5, and the option was either they could they could leave with that, or leave with about half that if they made no choice, or they could push a button and somebody else on the other side of the divider would lose all their money. And well, basically they set up the test and they proved that people would rather screw other people over than step away and have an equitable compromise. And if they cloaked it in terms of altruism, if you push this button, the other person will have to give even more money to, you'll have no money left, but the other guy will have to give twice as much to charity. And the odds that they would screw this other invisible person over doubled. People, this should be, it's no surprise, we're fallen creatures, and those even those of us who have been redeemed in the blood of Christ, we're still fallen creatures. Still innately malicious. It's more than just being selfish. Selfish just means self-interested. It is screw unto others. Beats in the blackened little heart of every man. And it takes divine grace and conscious effort to be any other way. Lifetime of bad legs and treatment. Years from now, kids are going to go, why are those two antennas sticking out of the top of their TV set? Why is the TV set so large? Why isn't it a big flat? They're not going to. It's kind of weird. Look at it. I mean, look at your computer. Now look at your computer. There, the symbol for saving a file. What is it? It's a floppy disk. It's a floppy disk. Most kids, most kids have never seen a floppy disk. Heck, I bet there's a good number of 20 year old, 15, 20 year olds haven't seen a floppy disk in their life, never used one. I remember once they had this, there's one of these shows on YouTube. They introduced something from like the 1970s, 80s, or 90s to a bunch of kids today, and they gave these kids a Game Boy. One of the original Game Boys. And like, what is this? What is this? I can't get it. It's like, is it a cell phone? I'm saying they didn't know what it was, and all the old farts like me are sitting in the audience crying. you know, I remember when I was hip. I remember when I was cool. I remember once they they did another one where they had these kids, 5, 6, 7 years old, and they asked them what their favorite food was. And they get just pizza and chicken nuggets, and they get all these, and they brought out jumbo servings. I mean, the kid, for the kid that said, I like pizza, and they brought out a pizza the size of a table. They said, here you go. And these kids' eyes are just bugging out of their heads. They gave, the leftovers, they gave them to a, just so they said in the credits, they said that the extra food was given away to a homeless shelter that was in the neighborhood. They didn't just waste the food, but. I love they have, I love they introduce Japanese people to American food, and you're British people to American food, and American people to British food, and different snacks and stuff, and it is funny. Oh, the Japanese people absolutely loved American barbecue. That was a show. That particular show is where I learned how to cook a brisket. I'm like, you're supposed to boil it? I learned to cook it in a crock pot. And in case you're wondering, as I said before, this is Plane 9. It's a downloadable program. It's a free program you can download on the internet. Just Google it. It's a screensaver program where you can do it and set it up to work in a window. It can be set to respond to your voice on a microphone or to the music that you play. It can be used as an app. It's a nifty little program, and there's all sorts of options on it. Different special effects you can add, and it combines them, or it can do it at random, and it's fun to play with and fun to watch. I started using it for the show so I'd have a visual to go with my voice when I'm not particularly doing anything. Or when I forget to stop talking, you can just stare at the pretty colors. I still got the problem with that. It goes through Minicam, then Minicam broadcasts through Adobe Flash Media, and then Adobe Flash Media sends it out to YouTube. And the setup is not very streamlined. It is, this is why it gets, laggy. And once again, I am about okay as far an update on donations and raising money to pay the electric bill. My electric bill, my complete electric bill is $700. I currently have raised. I've currently got $200 plus some odd, about 200 some odd dollars. So uh, I have to raise at least 400 to keep them from shutting off the power. So I'm halfway to that point, and I'm about a third of the way to the point where the bill will be completely paid up. If I can get, as I said before, if I could get 100 people, just 100 of my viewers from my website or from my YouTube, and I don't think I have 100 people to watch this YouTube. If I could get 100 people to drop $5 in the donation till on my website at RHJunior.com, that would get me through this. That would scrape me through this month. Well, of course, if I could get 5 people to make $100 commission, that would do it too. So, one of the increasing concerns about doing commissions. Right now, you can say, okay, there are certain things that I won't draw, certain things that I won't write, that sort of thing. But with the way the laws are going, the way the complete disregard for constitutional rights is going, we're reaching a point that, if you post, if I post it, I'll take commissions, I won't do, I say I won't do homosexual artwork or stories. If I put any kind of restriction that, or I say I won't do any stories, for anything really. If I say I won't do this kind of story or that kind of story, it's reaching a point where there is a risk, a possibility that somebody will get mad and sue. In the name of civil rights, and I'll be put in the position to either draw or write what they have asked for, or be fined by the courts. And don't even think, oh, that's high, that's not very likely. That's not very likely. How likely did you think it would be that a couple of lesbians could sue somebody for not wanting to bake them a lesbian wedding cake? And I worry about that. And from time to time, I worry about that. Not a thing I can do about it. Not a thing. And they don't even have to sue me. They could just start. They just go into. Suppose I post in fan fiction that I'll do commissioned stories, but I put restrictions on what I will or won't do. All it would take is running around. One of these crybabies running around screaming and throwing a tantrum and calling me a homophobe, xenophobe, Islamophobe, thisophobe, thatophobe. Just throw a raging and make life miserable or even just outright impossible for me on that site. This is a possibility. And like I said last night, this is why Trump has become so popular. This is it in a nutshell. This is why Trump has such a following. Is because they tried to pull this on him over and over. They've tried it over and over ever since he announced his candidacy. And he has not only refused to bend to it, he has walked up and punched him in the nose. And said, make something of it. And he doesn't give a rat's ass what they say about him. He'll come back. He'll be just as mean and nasty as they are. He makes absolutely. He doesn't care. And this is something that everybody who has suffered under the yoke of these petty little tyrants has desperately wanted to do. You can't tell me these people. You go to college, and these screaming rabid feminists are in your face calling you a rapist simply because you're a male and in local proximity. Or they call you cis lords, cis scum, shitlord, and they trample all over you. And they can get you thrown out of school for something that they made up in their own heads. And you can't tell me that every last one you can't tell me that every last one of the men that's going through college has to put up with these she beasts, doesn't want to go out, find these women where they're throwing their temper tantrum out in the campus square and just smack a bitch up. You did one rule for you and one rule for them, though. You have to be you have to behave you have to practice all the rules of chivalry, and they get to abuse every bit of privilege that comes with it. And you're supposed to stand there and take it and agree with them, no matter what appalling accusation they make. there are estimates that there are estimates that upwards of as up to as high as 40% of all rape accusations, official legal report type accusations, are false. And this is not talking about one, this is not just talking about the just a wild off the cuff accusation. We're talking about women that made the accusation and then withdrew it, or evidence was found and it was totally infeasible. Is basically disproven. That's one of the things about our judicial system, is that you don't have to prove your innocence; they have to prove your guilt. Of course, the other, the double sided, the other edge of the sword is that uh, uh, failing to prove you guilty is not the same as proving you innocent. So they don't have to, if you get charged with rape or any other crime, and they find you not guilty, that does not get listed as a false accusation. It's only when the woman, when the accuser retracts the accusation. There's a legal technical difference between not guilty and innocent. It's the backlash of having an innocent until proven guilty system. It's a necessary evil, but it is a problem. So you figure, even with all the false accusations that never get retracted, even all the cases where the men are found not guilty, or when they refuse to take the case to court for lack of evidence, those do happen on occasion. Those are not listed as false. Those are listed as undecided, off in some vague limbo. But even doing that, they still have estimates ranging anywhere from about 8 to 10% to up to 40% of the rape accusations being filed by women are subsequently proven, and I mean subsequently established, as false. There are women out there by the millions who are committing libel, slander, and perjury, falsely accusing men of rape, of child molestation, of assault and battery. They caught a woman on tape trying to pull that crap. She got pulled over by a cop, and she started screaming, "Oh, he's raping me!" And she tried to accuse him of sexually or physically assaulting her. And unfortunately for her, there was a video camera running. And she got her ass fried. She got taken to court. She got convicted. And they had another one fairly recently. Another woman tried to pretend. Tried to pretend. They have had several cases where people who have been caught by the police have one guy banged his own head against a brick wall when the cops turned their back and tried to accuse him of assault and battery right in front of a camera too. Real brilliant guy. But back to the point is these women, literally by the hundreds of thousands or even millions, are making these evil lies about men, and even they're committing libel, slander, perjury. They're getting caught, and they're not spending a minute in jail. Meanwhile, men who have been innocent men who have been falsely accused, if they've been accused of rape, if they've been accused of assault, they've been falsely accused of violating restraining orders, it's do not pass go, do not collect $200. They go straight to jail. No trial, no bail. Boom, there they are. All on the word of a woman. And this is what men live with. And the same thing applies with the whole race baiting issue. They have gotten innocent people convicted and thrown in, their businesses ruined, thrown in jail, bankrupted, and worse, with false accusations of, you name it, racism, sexism, homophobia, Islamophobia, and this is why everybody walks on eggshells for fear of it, and everybody out there is so sick of walking on eggshells around these horrible, worthless people. And seeing a man like Trump, who is a prime target for this kind of abuse. He's rich. He runs multiple businesses, and he's a popular celebrity figure and a politician. And they have thrown everything they can at him, and he has made it clear that not only is he not going to apologize, is he not going to take the high road. He's not going to take the high road either. He's going to, some skanky woman news reporter slanders him. He'll call her a skank to your face. And he is basically doing what so many frustrated, harassed, and cornered people in America desperately want to do. And he is still successful. And it drives his enemies crazy, because basically he's taken away the only weapon they have. It's been a vicious weapon. It's a bloody weapon, and it leaves ragged wounds. But it is proven ineffective against him, and that is driving them berserk. It doesn't work against him because he doesn't let it. And that's why other conservative politicians, genuine conservative politicians, with solid principles and good backgrounds, it's not working for them. Because, this is why they fail. Because they try and be polite, they try and be nice, and, they try and play at the very best, they try and play the silent stoic sufferer, and it doesn't work. If they would take a page from Trump's playbook and start fighting back like they mean it, conservative candidates might actually start winning elections again. Too many of them, they're too busy trying to make the press like them. And they're scared to, I can't say anything too mean. I can't say anything too mean. The press that hates my guts and wants me dead and roasted alive on a stick might not like me. People people may want, an ideologically on, straight down the line candidate, but they will take a less exemplary candidate that has balls over one that is straight down the line and doesn't stand up for himself. Conservative candidates haven't figured this out yet. They're pussified. They're out there. They think they're fighting by the Marquis of Queensberry rules, and they're in the middle of a back alley, dirty, bloody gang fight. You gotta just. By Jove, we shall engage in fisticuffs, and the opposition pulls out a board with nails through it right upside the head. I just can't understand why we lost the election. We bled all over the place in the most appropriate scholarly fashion. And I've been angry about this for years. Every time I'd find a candidate with a exemplary personal record and solid, political leanings, it seems like 5 minutes into the 5 minutes into the campaign, they give up. They talk a good fight, but then they don't even try and last it out to the end of the primaries. I'm like, you pussies. You want me to think you can, and the conservative movement is standing there. I'm going, you want me to believe you can lead this country through a war or through a Great Depression or through any of 100 crises that could pop up? You can't even find a candidate who will make it all the way to the end of the election cycle. And when you do, you find the only thing you can seem to come up with is some rhino milksop who is going to do whatever the opposition tells him to anyway. If we want hello, Republican Party. If we wanted more liberal candidates, we'd go frickin' vote Democrat. Trump, whose ideological stance has been all over the map since day one. He's donated to both parties. He's supported one. He's supported one thing and then turned around and changed his mind later. But he manages to look more conservative than any of the other conservative candidates. Why? Because he doesn't bend over and grab his ankles whenever the opposition comes along and tells him to. He's loud, he's crude, he's stubborn, he's belligerent, and that's precisely what American people want in a conservative candidate. They want one that isn't going to take or give a bullcrap. We can't find anybody like that. They're just too Washington sophisticated. And they can't win elections. And they wonder why. I'm probably going to rant on that particular theme until the day I die. You'd rather have a candidate you half agree with that does something than a candidate that I completely agree with that does nothing. You've got it summed up in one, cartoon glutton. Man, oh man, oh man alive. Still shaking the money tree for donations. I am halfway to the amount I need just to keep them from disconnecting me. And I'm about a third of the way from fully paying the bill. Just letting everybody know that. I'm just repeating it. Why? Because I'm broke. Because I'm in trouble if I don't. Okay. Now, what can you say? What can you say? What can you do? Okay, there's a new, for those who just came in, there's a new nip and tuck up. Check it out. Check it out. It's the first of commission series. Maybe I'm being a bad Christian for saying, that for even speaking out in support of Trump, because he's not a Christian, and God only knows how he's going to treat Christians if he gets into into a thousand. But then again, we've had Catholic presidents, we've had presidents of every stripe who do not share what I consider actual genuine Christian beliefs. And we look at, I consider, for instance, New England, Great Britain. They had Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill, well, he was an alcoholic. He was definitely what you would not call a Sunday school go to meeting kind of kid, But he was what their country needed to get them through World War II, through a time of crisis. And I think it is very possible that God, filling all else, God will still manage to make use of a man like Trump right now. Christians have had to live in nations with non-Christian leaders before. This is nothing new in the world. So we can survive 4 to 8 years with a Trump in office, assuming if Trump keeps just one promise that he made in his candidacy when he gets into office. If he keeps just one promise, he will have rolled back the countless disastrous mistakes that Obanzo has made in his during his regime. So, frankly, we could do a lot worse. And if we're running around dividing our vote or refusing to vote because the candidate isn't perfect, we're guaranteeing that we're going to do worse. Elections, as they are run, are a zero-sum game. You can't get out. You can't, you can't cheat the system, and you can't. And the stupidest thing I've ever seen is people send, I'm voting this way to send a message. What you're sending the message is that I want the other side to win, and you're not liberal enough yet. That's what the leadership of the GOP thinks. They're obviously terrible at analysis, so they would have had the lady from Alaska running for president years ago. tell me I'm wrong. Instead, they got rid of her and kept McCain. And they've been doing everything in their power to help the Democrats marginalize her. When's the due date? 25th. Either the 24th or the 25th. I'll have to double check, but I believe it's 20. I'm thinking it's the 25th, but I want to say the 24th because I'm thinking I probably got the date wrong. It's the 25th of this month. Anyway. Yes, it's your cousin. Try not to think about it too hard. You've got a fox marrying an opossum. Try not to think about it. You've got another fox marrying a porcupine. Try not to think about it. Over in my other trip, you've got a grizzly bear who's married a cougar. Oh. Oh, did my screen freeze again? Darn it. Okay, I think I'll close that now. I like this setting with the firefly globe and the falling tunnel. Yeah, I like that. It's nice. Wish I knew which combo of settings produced it. It's nifty. Whee! Benjamin Jones, I don't know what droste means. Droste. Uh, Clarify, please. Got a guy asking here, what is CIS? Syscom. Jack622. What is cis scum? Oh, poor innocent soul. Soon to have your world devastated by the discovery of what it's like out there. You know, poor thing going to have his innocence destroyed. Cis-normative, I think, is the original term. I forget what a CIS stands for. Does it matter? This thing has so many nifty screensaver settings. I like it. He's so amusing. He's so entertaining. He's so pretty. Yay. Okay, it is 10 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. If you know anybody who would like a commission, send them my way, please. If you know anybody who would like to, who you think would like to support this artist, Send them this way too. And I'll see you tomorrow at 6. Yes, we were doing the show tomorrow at 6. As always. Yay. And I'll see you then. Say a prayer for me, because, Lord, I really need it. You all take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. This has been Spleen Squeezings, a blatant rip-off production.